y'all. I'm Amber.
And I'm Shamia.
And we're from Expression's International Dance Company. We are here to invite you guys out December 6th to our encounter called Set Your Gaze, where every art will be displayed unto the glory of God. For example, you'll have painters. We'll have a painter table. So if you worship visually and you want to paint during your worship time in that time frame, you're going to paint. If when you hear the Holy Spirit talking to you like to write, we're gonna have a writing table set up. We're gonna have musicians, we're gonna have, of course, psalmists, we're gonna have spoken word artists. I mean, even the spoken word artists, they're gonna get it in that atmosphere.
The encounter is December 6th. How can they purchase their tickets and how much are they?
They are $20, and you can go to www.myxidc.com in order to purchase your ticket.
Oh man. Oh wow. My whole life just got blessed just now watching that. I gotta tap into that. That is what I actually want to do. Are we live already? Are we live?
I believe so.
Okay. I got caught up in a little commercial. I got to tap into that. But it's your girl Pus'Her. If you're not pushing forward, you're moving backwards. Say it out loud. Forward ever, backwards never. In my Kevin Gates voice, I am so not sorry. However, you got to bear with me. Give me a little grace. My voice is in and out. And so this is definitely a push. Before we get started, I first want to say to if you know, you know. I want to say to my companion, Keisha, I want to let you know that my heart, my prayers, my support, my unconditional love is always with you, no matter what you're going through. And to the Bill family, I want to say that unconditionally, you have my support. I am there. I am only a phone call away, but I am a couple miles away. And to Desi and his family, I send my condolences. I send my heart. Is still filled with sadness. But understand, although I love you all, God love is greater. And so I just encourage you to tap in, especially during this time. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and I know some of us will have sad hearts. Some of us will go through the storm because we are going to experience one of these special days without the people that we love. But I want you to know that unconditional, I love all of you, but God love is greater. Again, I thank you, and thank you. And so if you are already tapped in, I need to see you. I need to see you in the chat because tonight I definitely need your push. I think we both need your push on tonight. And so I just appreciate your presence. I appreciate your time. You could be anywhere else, but you choose to push forward here with me. Again, I am your girl Pus'Her. I need you to say it out loud. Put it in the chat. Forward ever, backwards never. Yeah, say it out loud though. Forward ever, backwards never. It will make you feel good. I'm trying to tell you, when you can just remind yourself the only time I'm going back is for a frame of reference to help me propel to the next level. So without further ado, we only have an hour, and I want to maximize every second of every minute of every hour during this time. This was high demand. So many people have texted me and called me and was like, hey, where's that man at? Where's that dude at? Didn't you say that was your own? Call him and tell him to come back. He got to finish what he has started. And so he is back. I thank you. But I'm professional, but it is what it is. They know who I am. So I'm going to say but to you all, his name is Richard or Richie, whatever he prefers you to call him. But I am going to call him because I have that right.
Amen.
The topic is difficult conversations part 2. I thank everyone for vibing with us, for tapping in last week and just being flexible and being on point. I cannot push forward. I cannot be the people pusher if I did not have the people pushing me. So I appreciate you all for tapping in and supporting me and traveling with me no matter where we end up. I thank you. So without further ado, my first question to you, well, first of all, introduce yourself and remind some of who you are.
Well, Richard Reynolds. Richie is fine. I go by Richie for most people. I'm here for this second session to answer the questions, and I'm gonna try to give it from a standpoint. And my disclaimer is I'm going back for this because God first with me. God has changed me. God has made me a new man. So yesterday is no longer me, but today I will be open to just to talk about the man's point of view. And some of the questions that I was asked, I pondered over them. I actually talked to a few friends, male friends, about the subject just to get their point of view because again, I'm gonna be honest. This Bible here, and this life that I lead now, it's all that I see. I don't see backwards. I don't even see forward. I just see today. I live for today because scripture says tomorrow is enough of its own, and yesterday is nothing we can do about it. So I live for today. But for the sake of the topic, I will go back and talk about my point of view and why I feel like what, or give y'all what men feel like they need from women. So shoot away at the questions. I'm prepared to answer anything you want to ask.
All right, I know that's right. So, let me put this rule out, or let me just put this out here. This is not a debate. This is a conversation. This is a place where we are learning from each other. Because remember, everything that I do and my intent is about healing. That's my mission, is about healing. And I recognize that in order to heal, I have to have everybody in mind. And me as an individual, although me as an individual can heal, but I understand in order for me to be a part of the collective has to be on that mission of healing. And so what I want to start off with is really, and another thing I want to say is when we go back for a frame of reference. We don't go back to stay stuck in it or to relive or rehash, old things. Of course, when you go back, you may be triggered or whatever, but I don't go back to places that I am unhealed for. I don't talk about things unless I am summoned to spiritually. If I am unhealed and I cannot handle it, I am talking to a people that can help me through my healing process. But most of the times, especially when it comes to difficult conversations, I've had enough difficult conversations to know that I'm a big girl and I can handle it. That's why I can have a conversation and tell people, I forgive you for hurting me. I forgive you for neglecting me. I forgive you for abandoning me. Why? One, because you might not know that that's how you affected me. Two, if you do know, you need to be held accountable. And if you are an active participant in my life, we are going to have a difficult conversation. This is all this is about. And I'm not going to go back to talk about go into detail about what we talked about between you and I. If you were here, you were here. If you wasn't, you missed it. And I'm sorry. We are pushing forward. We are moving forward, but you will get the substance of it, because the substance is having difficult conversations. And what I've learned is that when it comes to men and women, it is always a difficult conversation. It's like no one is listening to each other, and everyone is listening to respond, not necessarily listening to hear. You have a select few who will show up and are great listeners. And some of us who are content with being good listeners, because when God created me, he said it was good. So I have learned to be satisfied with being good, if that makes sense. And so for me, and I know so many other women, what we want to know, we understand and we know that God is the center of your life. We know that God is the reason for your season. We know that all of that. And we believe that you are true in your growth and development, and how you are pushing forward in your life, how you are making decisions that are in the best interest of your peace, that's in the best interest of your joy, that will protect your faith, that will protect your relationship, your intimate relationship with God. We are clear about that. The question is, What do you say to men or young boys that are not where you are, that doesn't understand the new language that you speak? Because understand, if you are street, it's still in you, no matter how much you've grown, which means, like Paul, you speak a different language. And so
Absolutely.
sometimes we have to tap into that creativity and speak in a language in which the listener can hear. And because not everybody, like I'm eloquent, I can speak when I want to. I can walk in a room with anybody and I can have a conversation. But make no mistake about it, I'm always going to be myself. In the middle of a conversation, I might belch. In the middle of a conversation, I might cough. I don't know, but I'm not hiding it. I'm not keeping it in. At one time, I used to suffocate myself, especially being around men. I wouldn't do too much that I would think that was unladylike. And I didn't even really know what a lady is until I became self-aware and knowing who I am. I define what a lady is as it relates to me. And when you are secure in that, you don't care. You have no care, because who goes into a room before me is God. I know that. He walks in the room before me. All I got to do was show up and do whatever it is he would have me to do. However, there is not everybody that speaks my same language. And so sometimes I got to go back in my toolbox and be creative so that you can understand what it is that I'm saying. And so from some of the questions do you remember the questions that were asked last week?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I don't have them in front of me. I can pull up my phone though and pull them up. But the first thing that I want to ask you is, why do you think men and women have a hard time having an effective conversation, a difficult conversation? Why do you think that is difficult to do?
I think the first thing is that they don't understand that we are totally different. When they say men are from Venus and women are from Mars, or however they put that, we are from two totally different makeups. Totally different makeups. We got to understand that. We think, we move, we believe, we see things in totally different lenses. So the first thing we have to do is understand that. Once we can understand that we are thinking totally different, then it becomes a time, like you say, it's listening time now. So when I talk to you, you got to understand that I'm coming from a totally different avenue. I mean, I've been talking. I talk to my wife. I talk to my daughter. I talk to different people, and we could look at the same car, and just using car as an example. And one might say it's blue, and the other one gonna say it's black, because we just see things totally different. So I think in most conversations, the first thing we have to understand is sometimes we're gonna have to agree that we disagree. And now it's time for us to come to a place where we can reach some kind of common ground. But again, it's just we're different. God made us male and female. He made us different. Even though women were brought out of men, out of the man's rib and all that, but she was brought out to be different, because you think about it, in the beginning of time when God made the animals and he made the birds and he made all this stuff, none of it was compatible to man. Man did not find compatibility in none of that. He found it in one man. But when we look at stuff, we just look at it totally different. So to answer that question is, we just have to understand that we are different. There's no way around that. We're different.
So being different isn't the issue, because my sister, I have a lot of qualities that she has, but yet we are different. I am a twin. And although we are twins and we can feel, we are on most times it's so scary. We are on the same, how we are on the same frequency most times. When he gets sick, I get sick. He doesn't get the symptoms. I don't know, we're older now, but I know I get his symptoms. So sometimes even when I think I'm sick, it really ain't me. It's him driving my insides crazy. But yet we're still different. Me and my twin, we had the same experience, but yet how we came out of it, our story is totally different. And so it's not necessarily about being different. Because I believe that two truths can exist in the same conversation. So we don't have to agree to disagree, because it's not about that. It's not, truth is not neither right or wrong. It just is what it is. And if you could go into a conversation saying, I hear you and I respect your truth, but this is my truth. And then we can agree to understand one another's truths, because two truths can exist at one time in one conversation. The difficulty that I believe, and I haven't had, no, so let me put this out there. I have not had many relationships with men. I've had many interactions in many situations, but I've never really had and not even with my family, to have those kind of dialogues where we're going back and forth and we are exchanging informations, because it says iron sharpens iron. So I hope that we can be different, and so that I can learn from you and you can learn from me. And I think that as it relates to difficult conversations and men and women, understanding what makes us the same, and the one thing that makes us the same is we're both human. The other thing that makes us the same is we both got emotions. The other thing that makes us the same is we entertain thoughts, unpleasant thoughts and pleasant thoughts. The other thing that makes us the same is only one God that we submit to. So instead of going into, this is just my isms, instead of going into a conversation with what makes us different to find the common ground and to make the conversation healthy, we go in knowing what makes me who I am and understanding you are who you are. Because we all are created equal, but yet we are uniquely different. That's why we are individuals that are to grow collectively. And that's why for this particular platform, I want to have difficult conversations. I don't want to talk to everybody that is just going to agree just for the sake of peace. I want people that has their own thought process and comes from their own worldview, because guess what? Your experience is what shapes what you think, feel, and believe today, right now, in this moment. That's what shapes what you think, feel, and believe as an individual. And so I'm baffled, because I'm like asking this question. When I get in the presence of a man, I am asking him questions because I want to sincerely know. And I think there is a lot of women that are not just wounded, they are healed women that find it difficult to have difficult conversations with men. And we just want to know, why is it so hard to have difficult conversations? And what I mean by difficult conversations is, one, just listening to each other. What prevents us from listening to one another? Yes, we can go back to the Bible days, we can go back to that, but when we go back to that, it was not Adam speaking to Eve, it was the serpent. And so
let me say this. One of our things is it's just like maybe just what happened. You asked the man a question, right? You asked your uncle, this question. Your uncle gave you a probably 2-minute conversation opposed to your 10-minute conversation. It's like it's very hard for men to get women to just listen. Sometimes we just want y'all to listen. And sometimes we need y'all to hear our heart, because I see sometimes I say stuff and I might say to you, I need this. And I look up a year later and I'm still not getting it. And we go back over this same conversation. And then it's like, again, you're not listening to me. You hear me, but you're not listening to me. Because if you were, you would either do one or two things. You would tell me, I can't give you that, or you would give it to me. But if neither one happens, it's like my conversation was wasted. So even though we had a conversation, did you really listen to me? Did you really hear my heart? Did you really hear what I needed or was trying to express to you? Or was it that old, what is that Charlie Brown saying? Wah, 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 wah. Because that's what happens, especially with people that don't hear what they want to hear. You have a conversation sometime, but if you're not hearing what you want to hear, then it's a problem. That's why I say we are so different, because when you get two males together, it's kind of sometimes easy, not all, because we're individuals. Everybody got their differences. Everybody. So, but men and women, women can relate to women more than they can relate to men. Because why? Because I travel that same road. I have them same feelings. Yeah, I feel that same way. But then men be like, I don't feel that. I don't see no problem with that. I'm gonna talk about sometimes what I see like with me. I'm gonna talk about me as a man. Sometimes I get to the point and when I'm going through something, my emotions, when I get upset or I'm going through something, I kind of want to be touchy feely after that. You know what I'm saying? I want to embrace, I want to feel love. But you might be wanting to, man, I don't want to be bothered with you. I want to do this and I want to do that. But that's where sometimes we can't communicate and I can allow you to understand where I'm coming from. Sometimes I need you to shut up and listen. Sometimes that's just what I need. What do you need? I need you to shut up. I need you to listen. Hear me out. You want me to hear you out? I'm gonna do that. I'm a listener, I believe. So I'll listen and I'll try to do better. Do I do better every time? No. Do I try to? Absolutely. Every time. Yeah, I would try, but I fall short. I'm human. I mess up. I'm what I call dirt. Because again, no matter how I look at my life, I'm going back to what I believe going to make me the man that my wife needs. And that's the scriptures. I believe if I follow God's precepts, if I learn the word of God and I get the word of God in my heart, then me and my wife can connect not as humans, but spiritually. Our spirits will connect because, see, we got to understand to be absent of the body is to be present with God. So if both of us are absent from our bodies and we are in tuned in our spirits, then we can connect easy. But as long as we're tussling, I'm a man and she's a woman, and I don't care what nobody say. We're different and we think different. We look at stuff different. I could go to my brother and say, "Man, what do you think about this? Da da da. This happened, and this is how she feel." And he'll be like, "Man, yeah, that's crazy." But then I'll go to my daughter, who is my female checkmate. That's who I go to, and I'll be like, "Babe, I said this, I did that. What do you think?" And she'll be like, "Daddy, you shouldn't have did that. Daddy, you should have thought this totally different from the advice that my brother gave me. Totally different." And my daughter is a very intelligent young woman, very active in God, very outspoken. She will never sugarcoat anything for her father. She gonna give it to me 100. And I'm telling you, every time I go to her or I go to my brother, I get different responses every time.
Very good. So that really speaks to the cloth that I'm cut from, because as a woman, as a woman who is learning and growing, I definitely understand that on both parts, that we all just need to begin to listen to hear one another
Amen.
versus listen to respond. We are a culture, we are a people of many words. And because we come from a place where we've been unheard for so long, and now we have tapped in and we hear our voice and we are using our voice, we got a lot to say. And so some things, especially when it comes to some things, we're talking is relational, is about relationships, intimate relationships, um, um, just friendships, any kind of interaction with people, especially when it comes to men and women. The topic is always intense when it comes to having difficult conversations. And I think that from what I heard and from my standpoint is that we're not actively listening to one another. Basically, is I want to be heard and I want you to listen. and then we don't get nowhere with that, versus I want to be heard and I want you to hear me, as well as I'm going to be receptive to hearing you too. But as two adults, we have to come individually, have to get to a place where we both can do that at the same time. If we both got to be involved in a conversation, it just can't be one-sided. And sometimes we go into conversations prematurely. We hadn't did the work on ourselves first, and
Yeah.
sometimes that's why we have the difficult conversations, because I could be working on a thing, but that don't mean you're working on a thing. And I
Right.
could have grown and been delivered of a thing, but that don't mean you have grown and been delivered of the thing. And so now this is where grace come in at. So this is where forgiveness coming at. This is the difficult conversation where we have to be able to acknowledge that although I'm not where I was yesterday, and you might be, I'm gonna meet you right where you are, because I'm mature enough and I'm wise enough to understand that you're not there yet. And because you're not there yet, I'm not going to invest my energy. Like you said, you don't want your conversations to go in vain. And so, as the person that is spiritually mature and emotionally intelligent and psychologically unstable, to say, this is not a conversation we can have right now. But what I can extend to you is grace. What I can
Absolutely.
extend to you is a little time. If, and this is where reconciliation comes from, because not all situations and conversations is worth for me going back to have. It's just not.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree.
it's just not. So I want to get into some of the questions that people asked, because they were good questions. And so someone asked you last week, when was your turning point? They, like, you shared a lot of not a lot, but a little bit of your life, your past. And some people just want to know, what was your turning point and what did you do to be where you at? What decision that consciously you made to be the man that you are today? What was your turning point to be where you are?
Well, I looked up a business that I had for 15 years was gone. I had gotten a job and I was at the University of Maryland downtown campus for 9 years. And I looked up and that was gone. And I started looking back over my life and I started asking myself, why is everything that I touch or everything that I start, I just can't seem to see it all the way through for whatever reasons. Past drug abuse, gambling, womanizing. I gave myself a nickname. A lot of people don't know this, but and when I was in Labors for Jesus Church, I was ordained a deacon, and I gave myself the name Sneaking Deacon. And I did that because I shouldn't have been a deacon. I was nowhere near ready for that responsibility. So you asked me, when was my turning point? My turning point was when I decided that God was the only way. So I woke up one day, like I said, I had a great business. I destroyed it. I was building a great career. I destroyed it. I kept getting in my own way, and until I realized and I came to the understanding that as long as I trust Richard, the dirt man, let's make that clear, the dirt man, because earlier I said to you, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So I had to look at me and say, me, this slick guy, because anybody know me, even though I eventually failed at all these businesses and all these ventures, even as a drug dealer, I did it well. God has gave me this mind to do stuff well, just not to see it through. That was me. So after looking at all the failures, the drug failures, like I said, I had a lot of drug money. A lot of people who know me back in the day, I did pretty well at doing that. But eventually the police come, they take your money, they take your possessions. Everybody know how the story goes, and then you end up in prison with nothing. You come home like me again. When I spent my son's first year in prison, I decided the streets wasn't gonna raise my son. So I tried to take my little capital and I started working in the mattress company. And again, I love leading. I love being a leader. So after 5 years of working for someone else, I decided, man, I could do this for myself. And I took nothing and I turned it into a pretty lucrative business. But again, I made all this money. And I really believe by not selling drugs anymore and not being in the street game, I got bored. So I got into gambling. And I destroyed my company. I would make $6,000, $7,000 this week. And I would go on a Friday, and by Saturday, it was lost to the casinos. That's just the way it was. I always have been my worst enemy. I can't blame none of my life on nobody but me. I've always been my worst enemy. So one day, after going through church and after being everything, I lost my wife that I have now. I lost her, and it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And that's keeping it 100. I laid in bed sick because she was the best thing that happened to me, and I felt like I did it again. Here I go. Found the best thing because the scriptures say when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. And that she is till this day. And that just made me start looking at me, looking in the mirror, looking at Richard, what are you doing wrong? What are you missing? And again, guys, I can't tell you how much I believe that the only thing that has turned my life around, if I had to again say to any man, you want to be good to a woman, you want to be right by a woman, you want to do right by a woman, you got to get away from this flesh because this flesh is dirt. We were born in iniquity. We were born in sin. We it's so easy for us to sin. It's so easy for us to do wrong. But I think with God's help, scripture, daily, all the time, anybody that's around me now will tell you I go nowhere without my Bible. Everywhere I go. Why? Because that's what's going to keep me from not hurting my wife again, not destroying the trust that she's trying to rebuild in this man. And it's a process because once you lose someone's trust, that's a tough thing to get back. You know what people say, I can forgive you, but it's tough to forget. Why? Because you start showing them old patterns. You start being like, oh, I'm going out and the club let out at 1 and you coming back in at 3 or 4. It's like, why shouldn't she worry? You know? And that's what makes it hard. So what I want to do is show her that I can be true to God and to God's word and to the scriptures and that I can follow up. I can go to church every Sunday because I said I would. When I say I'm going to put the trash out today, guess what? I'm going to put it out today. I'm not going to wait till tomorrow morning and put it out. Why? Because I told I was going to put it out today. I'm going to try to keep my word in everything I can do because I lost her trust. I did. So it's up to me to rebuild her trust. And it's not an easy thing to trust people because it's so much mess going on in it today. So much going on. Me and my wife, we sit around to just today and yesterday talking about how bad and how foul people are. I told you earlier, look at my head. My head is like this because the guys in the barbershop decided that I wasn't important enough to say, we're not going to cut your hair. They let me sign the list. They told me 20 minutes, but 35 minutes later, 40 minutes later, I got to leave. Why? Because I gave you my word that I would be on this show. This is you know your uncle. This is the last way I want to present myself. I love me. I love the way I look, but I don't love me enough to lie to you. So that's why I'm on this show, and I didn't want to be. I promise you, not looking like this. I wanted to be because my words to you was absolutely, right? And
Mhm.
I use that word a lot now, and you're gonna hear me say it a lot. Why? Because it's absolute with me. That's the way I have to have people see me now. So that's my turnaround. My turnaround is to be better. And to be better, you just gotta do it. Because I think I did, they didn't see this, but you know my little thing that I do every morning when I get up. Right hand up, right hand down. Left hand up, left hand down. Look right, look left. I totally control me. Totally. I totally control me. So if I say, niece, I'm gonna be on your show, I'm gonna be on your show. And I don't care if I ain't had material. I don't care if I felt like I wasn't prepared. So that's how men have to do to let women know that we real. Cause we quick to lie. Cause when we want what we want, we gonna tell you what you think it is to hear. My daughter Shawnice will tell you. I used to always tell her, if you don't want a man to feed you BS, don't give it to him to feed it to you. Don't talk about that old boyfriend or that last husband or all the things you like or don't like. Let him figure it out. Because if you tell him that, you're giving him the ammunition to use against you. Because if you tell me, oh, he ain't never give me flowers, first thing I'm going to do is give you flowers. Oh, he ain't never take me out, I'm going to take you out. Now, even if I'm not a guy that do flowers and I'm not a guy that take out, so what's gonna happen? Once I get you and get what I want, now the flowers are gonna go away, the going out gonna go away, and you're gonna be like, well, how did he get into my heart? You gave him the blueprint to hurt you. So what it is, you gotta let a man be him. Let him do it naturally. I know you like to have these beginning relationship conversations, but sometimes they ain't no good. Why? Because you give him all the stuff to use against you. You tell him this, you tell him that. He's your baby. If he's that man for you, he should already be the one that's giving the flowers. And he should already be taking you out. And he should already be telling you nice things about yourself. And I ain't talking about that beautiful thing. I want to know what you got inside. Are you smart? Are you intelligent? Because that's the stuff I want to tell you. You a very intelligent woman. And I want it to be truth. But a lot of times, again, y'all women give men ammunition to hurt them.
Wow, that was a lot. All right, chat. I don't hear y'all. I don't see y'all. Y'all was talking a whole bunch of stuff last week. I don't see y'all in this chat. I don't see y'all. So I have two other questions. One is kind of like last week, and you tapped into it a little bit when you talked about your businesses and things that you were doing. And last week you talked about the mattress company, and somebody wants to know, are you going to bring that back?
Yes, I'm definitely. I actually have started a little, but again, God has weighed on my heart that Richard, you need to get you together before you start bringing people in your life. You know what I'm saying? You need
Gotcha.
to make sure you are grounded because again, even in the mattress business, I had times where if I couldn't meet a need or a demand, Rich would ghost you. That was a horrible character trait I had. I would ghost out. If I couldn't give you a good enough lie, or I couldn't think of a good enough lie, I just wouldn't say nothing, which was horrible.
Hmm.
So understanding some of my bad business practices and understanding some of the stuff that I have done, I have grown from that. And again, I don't want to embarrass God because now that's in the forefront of me. When you see Rich, you see God. You see a man of God who's walking boldly in the word. So I can't be a liar. I can't be somebody who say, yeah, I'm gonna deliver this bid at 9 o'clock. And because circumstances got me to a point where I couldn't deliver that bid, that I decided to just say, forget you. I don't care about your time. I don't care if you've been waiting 4 hours, that you done moved your old bed and you got that space all ready and you ready to, get comfortable in your new bed. And I decided that okay, I can't get this bid at 9. Why? Because I didn't deliver the other ones, or I felt that person was more important, or one of my employees called out, so I didn't even get the bid made. Instead of me being a man of integrity and saying, I didn't get your bid made, can I get it tomorrow? I wouldn't do that. That was that Brad. That's that horrible Rich. That's that guy that I keep telling you I want to leave back there in the past somewhere. Why? Because I don't want to relive it, because I don't want to redo it. And
So
that's
how do
why.
you, so can we put a pin right there? How do you, because that's important. That piece right there is important. So you spoke a little bit about this earlier, but I want you to expound on it a little bit. You're not that look, first, let me say I appreciate how real and raw you're being. I appreciate your willingness to share the realness of your past mentality, how you thought. This is what makes it easier for women to be quiet. Women, no, let me take that back. This will make it easier for me to be quiet. How about that? Because I'm not representing a body of women. In a sense, I am, but as I speak, I'm representing myself. Although I don't, in my intimate relationship, I don't have this kind of issue. Communication is always a big issue in any relationship,
Absolutely.
because we are different. But what you just shared is important. There are so many people, I was one of them, that did not think I could change. I did not think that I was good enough. I did not believe that I was worthy. I did not believe that people would believe me. I did not believe, even coming home, and we talked about, we're going to have to revisit this family thing. Again, I'm gonna call it bloodline. That's gonna be the title, but we're gonna have to do that because you got good insight on that. But what troubles me is I don't. So first, correct me first before I go into what I want to go into. I hear you say, I was this person. I don't like going back because I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to be reminded of who I was. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because see, what you got to understand about me, even in my prior drug abuse, what I say to myself is, I never got high. I never did drugs. I never. Why? Because I don't equate that to me. Because when I woke up one day and I gave my life to God Almighty, and I said, Lord, transform me, renew me, change me. When he did that, he said I was no longer that person that I used to be. So I don't accept that whatever was back there, that's me. That's not me. Why? Because if I start accepting that that's me, then I can find myself reliving them terrible character traits. So I just refuse. And it's just me. You gotta understand
No,
that.
I
It might
respect
not
it. That's why I wanted to.
it might not work for everybody, but it works for me. And
That's
what
why
I'm
I wanted. That's why I wanted to ask the question. That's why I wanted to be clear before I ask my question. Now I don't have a question, because one thing about me is I respect. Remember, I said two truths can exist in one conversation. I can respect that because that's where you are. It's easy for me to dip into my past. It's easy for me to do that. It's easy for me to do that because I live my life doing it. I talk for a living. I am a personal success coach. I am a reentry manager. Sometimes I have no choice. Sometimes it's frustrating. It gets on my nerves sometimes because like you said, it's a constant reminder. But what God allowed me to tap into is when I speak. That's why I said earlier, when I speak from a healed place. And sometimes I speak in my healing process. It's because I know the difference. That's why I'm able to freely go back and say, this is who I was. This is what I do. This is what I did. But this is who I am now. This is who's showing up now. That's why doing part one, it was important enough for me to start off with letting you know that that unconditionally I love you and unconditionally I support you. Why? Because you never, since I've been on this side of the spectrum, you never once showed me that person from your past. You showed me who you are today. In every conversation we had, you would say, start off, niece, I'm trying. Niece, all I can do is just move forward. All I can do is give you what I got. You got to call.
Yep.
You laid the ground rules. Just like you said, you communicated to me. You want me, you got to call me. So I know that. And because I know that, I honor that and I do that. I don't wait for you to call me because I didn't give you that invitation. But however, you gave it to me. And so I know if I need you, if I want you to participate, if I got something going on, all I got to do is pick up the phone. I know that because so far you have demonstrated that. You have been consistent with that. Do I call you every day? No, because I don't want nothing every day. Every now and then I may, of course, I've been weathering some storms. But I know that I have access. I know that if you tell me you're going to do something, I believe you are going to do it because of what you have shown me today. So I salute you. And I pray that as you talk to other men and young fellas, that you can kind of give them some type of guidance, because not everybody is where you are. Not everybody, not all guys, men, males or dudes, whatever you want to call them. not everyone is at a place where they are willing to say, listen, this is what I used to do. This is how I used to handle women. This is how, if you did this, this is how I responded to that. However, I learned the lesson. I don't want to be that no more. And so now today I am showing up different. And this is what I'm doing different. This is how we edify the kingdom.
Amen.
And this is how we edify the kingdom. We edify the kingdom through people. We edify the kingdom when we serve people. We edify the kingdom when we are unashamed to say, this is what God delivered me from. This is what I was doing. This is how I did it. But now I'm showing up different. Why? Because you recognize that today you ain't showing up in your flesh. You're not showing up making it about you. You showing up knowing that it's by grace that you are talking to me. It is by grace that you are able to restore the relationships that were broken. It is by grace that you are able to reconcile relationships that were reconcilable. It was by grace and grace alone. See, that's the difference. And that's how I can participate in difficult conversations, because all difficult conversations is, what is your truth? Where are you? You don't have to be anything other than who you are as you are. And we miss that as men and women about people. It's not about man versus woman, woman versus man. It's about people. It's about me versus me. It's about me being in my own way and prohibiting myself to see that it's something that's in you that I need. We miss that because we're so caught up and we're so blinded on what sets us apart versus understanding that we are more alike than we are different.
That's beautiful. I'm stuck right there because that's beautiful, and I'm in total agreement with that. Yes, and even though I say that we are different, as you just stated, and that's a fact, that we do have some similarities. We do. A lot of it comes from we were brought up in the same environments. You know, we struggle with a lot of the same racial bias. We struggle with just people looking at us and just prejudging us. We people expecting us to fit in their box, not our box. People expecting us to fit in their box, and sometimes we're just not gonna fit. We just not. Why? Because your box don't make no sense to me, none whatsoever. So yes, I agree that we are alike in some ways. And again, men and women have to do just what we doing right now. And if any woman want to know how to make this work, just go back and look at this and send this to your friends. Send this conversation. And this is the part I want them to see. When I express to you about the time factor, you instantly responded to that. And what you did next, you said, all right, Oak, I heard you. And you allowed me to express my time. When at first I said, what? I said, you gave me 2 minutes and you took 10. You totally flipped that. You heard me. You listened to me and you responded to what I was saying. You see what I'm saying? It's one thing to say, I hear you. It's one thing to say, I'm listening. It's another thing to respond. So you know what's going to happen now? I never had to revisit that. So you don't have to say, oh, you just said that to me. Or you just brought that back up to me. Why? Because I don't have to now. Why? Because you not only heard me, you responded to what I was saying. You showed me that you heard me. You just didn't tell me you heard me. You ain't say, oh, okay. I hear what you coming for me on my show. You ain't do none of that. You said, okay, I'm going to listen to my uncle. And I'm going to hear him out. And I'm going to let him talk. And then I'm going to respond. And then when you responded, you gave me feedback to what I said. So you didn't come off, because you know how a lot of people are. They sitting there listening to you, but they so busy thinking about what they're gonna say that time when it's their turn to talk, all they thinking about is what they gonna say, and they skipped over everything you said. You feel me? You didn't do that. So if any woman on this line, anybody want to know how to bond that relationship and how to get men and women right, tell them rewind this tape and just do what you do. I'm keeping it 100. This ain't about trying to make you feel good or none of that. This is about keeping it real. And you did exactly what us men want from women. We want y'all to listen, and then we want y'all to respond to what we're saying. You don't have to totally agree, but we want to know that you heard me, because you might say, because I might say something crazy like, man, I want sex every night. And you're going to be like, boy, you crazy. Don't you know I clean, cook, take care of the kids, work, do all this, and you want sex every night? I can't give you that. And then I understand that why you can't give me that, and that's even what I want. So as a man, I got to say to myself, okay, I'll take it 2 nights. How about that? Now I'm responding to you, but we're listening to each other. And now we're not only listening, we're responding. We're having a real conversation and not just you talking to me or I'm talking to you.
Right, but that's only because we're not speaking through trauma. I'm healed. Even from the things that you and I talked about last week. I was able to be honest with you because I'm healed. I was able to receive what you had to say because I'm healed. I was able to initiate the difficult conversation with you because I am healed. And I am able to hear you because I'm not holding you hostage in unforgiveness. I'm not holding you hostage to what I believed, not the expectations that I created, not what we talked about, not what was understood, but what was in my mind, what was in my heart. I reasoned with that and understood that now as a woman, forget a child, forget a young adult, as a grown woman, I have to take accountability for me. That's why it was easy for me to take the responsibility away from you to say, don't take that, don't own that. I was incarcerated because of my decisions. I was incarcerated because of what I done. It had nothing to do with you. But as a young child, I did not understand because all I knew was my uncles was gangster. All I knew was my uncles was about that life. All I knew was if I ever got in a jam, my uncles would be there. That's all I knew. And when I was there and all my uncles didn't show up to educate me to do the things, that sent me spiraling out of control. And I began to lean on other people and other things. And I became a savage. Why? Because I'm cut from that kind of cloth. But when you grow And when you begin to learn and when you begin to heal, you begin to think different. You begin to see different. You even begin to smell different. You begin to talk different. You even begin to walk different. And now, because I take accountability for me, I got to release you from all of that. It was easy for me to do that. It was easy for me to listen to you. Why? Because I'm delivered. Why? Because I understand. I first had to forgive myself. I first had to own my own stuff. I first had to say, girl, check it, sit down and sit with yourself. And sometimes you gotta go back so that you could be humble. Sometimes I gotta go back. Sometimes I got to make myself remember so that I won't become so holy and so that I won't become so high that I am no good for the people that I struggle with. And that's why it's important for me to do the work that I do. I don't do it because it's a job. I do it because it activates my purpose. It sharpens my faith. It keeps me going. It helps me sleep at night because I know if I can say something to one person to help them change their minds, to help them do something different, to make them see that it's a better way, I'm good. That's my purpose. And I'm good and I can sleep good at night. And so I just want to say with the couple minutes that we have left that I salute you. I appreciate you. And you are a part of my top 5. I don't have many men in my life, but you are definitely a part of my top 5. You are definitely someone that I can follow. You are definitely someone that I can listen to because the conversations that we do have, you and I, they are empowering and they are motivating. And I definitely appreciate them personally and professionally in my life. I thank you for opening up. I thank you for sharing, a representation of manhood with us. We definitely need this in these times and these days, because someone last week said that the dynamics of manhood in the household has shifted. And if we be real, it has. And I am one who believes that if you heal one woman, you heal a nation. Because I believe that women create women, or even though we need the man is the carrier, but it is the woman where life is conceived out of. And because of that, we have to tap in and begin to heal and begin to do something different. And I'm pumped up. I am excited. I don't know what God has in store, but I know He is cooking up something, and I am just excited. But just remember, do you have anything that you want to say before we close out?
One more thing I have to do, because you were in my head, and it's about having conversations at the appropriate time.
Yeah.
See, when you having a conversation, when there's no anger, like our conversation now, when you're having a conversation about stuff that needs to change in the relationship, that people need to do better, the best time to do it is when there's nothing going wrong. My suggestion, and it's something I try to do in my household, is pick a day. And we have a day where we just sit down and we have difficult conversations. I love that topic. We have difficult conversations. We talk about the likes and the dislikes and what you could do better, what you could do less. Sometimes, because I was in a relationship before and I was told, you just give me too many flowers, do something else, And if you're telling me that when you mad, I'm not going to receive that. But if you sit me down and say, babe, look around. I don't have nowhere else to put flowers. They keep dying. You keep spending all this money on these flowers, and I don't know what to do with them. That we're having a conversation about it. And I think, like with men, babe, don't wait till I don't put the toilet seat back down to fuss at me.
Lord.
You tell me why we having that conversation. Babe, that toilet seat thing, ooh, that stuff I can't live with. But if you have it at the right time and you have these conversations in the right setting, maybe over dinner, because that's what we choose to do. We have dinner, just us. It's not out in a restaurant. It's nowhere. It's home. We're sitting in our space. And we talk about stuff that we need to do better at, but we do it at a time that allow us to just talk, and not because you done pissed me off about something. Now I want to give you everything. Oh, you did this, but I want to give you this, that, and now all I'm doing is trying to block you out. All I'm doing is trying to hope that this can hurry up, be over, so I can watch the football game.
Ah,
You know? So you were
yes,
great
yes,
with that. Yes. Pick a time, pick a place, and have them conversations, but don't have them when you're angry. It
yes,
does no
yes,
good
yes,
to,
yes.
to
Thank you.
start releasing everything.
Yes, thank
But
you for that. Thank you for
and I
that.
and
We
I want to
always need to
say
plan.
I appreciate you. I think this platform is great. I'm coming up with my own, but something's not this, but mine is more on the Word of God and getting men to hear how I changed through the Word of God. But I love this. I'm always here for you again publicly. You know how to get me. If you want me to set up tables, if you want me to put up chairs, if you want me to hand out flyers, if you want me to hold a book while people sign them, I want you to know publicly that your uncle is here for you and will do anything, and I mean anything, to help Pus'Her keep pushing.
Yes, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for that. I definitely love it when we can walk away with a plan. So I thank you. I didn't even have to say anything. I thank you for giving us a plan, an idea, a suggestion of what we can do to make things better. This is what this is about. So if we don't walk away with anything, we walk away with a plan. And so
Amen.
I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I thank everyone for listening, for showing up. I definitely appreciate you. Tonight was definitely a challenge for everybody that had something to do with tonight. So I just thank you for
Absolutely.
the sacrifice. I thank you, T.R.I.V.I.A Inspirational Radio Broadcasting Network. I thank you for giving me a seat at the table. I do not take it lightly. I thank you, everyone in the chat. Y'all was kind of quiet tonight. Y'all was listening. He must have been talking good because y'all was just listening. But I definitely appreciate y'all. It's your girl Pus'Her. If you're not pushing forward, you're moving backwards. Say it out loud. Forward ever, backwards never. If you know, really, say it out loud. Forward ever, backwards
Forever,
never.
backwards, never.
Yes, yes, yes. If you have yet to get your copy of It Takes One to Know One or People Pus'Her, I advise you to go to www.pusherlife.org. You can go on Amazon. You can go on GBEcommunity.com to get It Takes One to Know One and People Pus'Her. If you have yet to get it, I want you to tap in because we will be
You're
having
welcome.
a open conversation about It Takes One to Know One. So if you have yet to not get your copy, get your copy, get your copy. I even have some on deck. It Takes One to Know One and People Pus'Her. We are cooking up something really, really great coming up. Nada, shout outs to Nada Barber. That's your girl. If your barber ever goes away again, do not look no further. I will plug you in. She is a mobile barber. That's right, chat. Forward, ever, backwards, never. She is a
Is she
beast.
working tomorrow? Woo.
And she will look tomorrow is Thanksgiving. I don't know, but she is on the chat.
She's
Nada
working tomorrow.
Barber, are you working tomorrow? Probably not, but I will ask her. Great conversation, Mr. Richie, and great advice. That's what she said. So
Thank
she will
you.
text me. She will text me and let me know if she is working tomorrow. But she is a person that is about the grind, and so I don't know. We will see what we can do. Until next time, I see you same time, same day, Wednesday at 6:30, God willing. Pray for me as I pray for you. Push me as I push you. I thank you, Unc, for showing up for me, not one
Always.
time, but 2 times. It was a pleasure.
Always.
Don't forget that in order to have a difficult conversation, you gotta have it from a healed place. You cannot do it through your anger. You cannot do it through your self-pity. You cannot do it through self-doubt. You cannot do it in unforgiveness. You have to be whole, stable, and solid to be able to have a difficult conversation and walk away heard and walk away understood. Even if the person doesn't understand, and even if the person know only 100%. She is funny. Yes, funny. But yeah, so let's push forward and work on having difficult conversations. If you want to reach any of the guests that has been on the show, you know you can go to info@pusherlife.org. I will connect you to the people that has been privileged on the show. Eventually, I will have them all back so that we all can just have a conversation in one space with those people. Happy Thanksgiving. And to those of you who are suffering, those of you will be experiencing Thanksgiving without your loved ones, my heart goes out to you. I will send a text. I'm only one person, but my heart goes out to you. Know that I love you, but God love is greater. Tap in. Peace.
Peace. Thank you.
My name is Ismail Jabber, and I was born in Kuwait from a Palestinian father and an Egyptian mother. I was in a prison called Maryland House of Correction, and I thought to myself I was one good, well